Hi there. In today's video, I want to show you a random password generator I've created in C++. So I'll go through, let me show you the program first. So with this program, what you do is, let's say you want 5 lowercase characters in 5 numbers. It generates a random password for you. So let's just run that again. So let's do 5 lowercase, 5 numbers, and there you go. Okay, so I'll show you the program, how I've put it all together. So the libraries I've included is iostream, cstdlib, string, stdlib.h, vector, random, and ctime. And I'm using the namespace std, so when I'm doing cout or cin, I don't have to type in all the extra characters. So the password, I'm using a vector of lowercase characters in a string and a vector of numbers, but it's all in a string just to keep it consistent. And then there's an empty vector called password list, and I'll show you where this comes into play. Now on this line, when you're using the random functionality, if I don't have this line of code, the random numbers will always be the same. So you need to, so let's just see what happens when I disable this. I'll just do the same 5 and 5 characters. We'll see what comes up. 5, 5. Okay, so P8, H8, Q is the first 5 characters. Let's run it one more time. And it should be the same characters. Yes, it's the same characters. So when you're using the random function, you need to see the generator so you don't get the same random sequence all the time. So this is just the syntax in C++. So let's just run it one more time just to make sure that it's all back to normal. Okay, so 5 and 5. Okay, beautiful. Completely back to normal. Okay, great. So I've declared some variables here. I won't read through them, but I'll just show you how they all come into play. Now, let's just move forward. Where are we up to? I might just go through all of them. So this is the... I'm declaring a lowercase random number integer. That's for this vector. A random number integer for the number list. The lower count, I'll show you where this comes into play, and the number count, int I, and the final password comes into a string, and I'll go through that in a moment. So the lowercase size is the size of the lowercase list vector. The number size is the size of the number list vector. Okay, the minimum is always going to be 0, and the maximum size of the vectors is always going to be, the actual size, and I'll show you where this comes into play. And also the maximum number for the number list. I'll show you how that comes into play. So when the program first starts, let's just bring this up. Okay, so how many characters do you want in the password? Whatever I enter here, that's going to go into the lower count variable. That's up here, okay? Now if I do 5 again, for how many numbers I want, I won't press enter yet because I'll just run through the code. Actually, no, that's fine. So 5 and 5, the first 5 goes to lower count, the second 5 goes into number count. So the first for loop, it will loop around 5 times because I entered 5, so I is 0 and I is less than 5, okay? Then, so this will iterate the number that I'll type in. So this will iterate 5 times. And each time it iterates, the lowercase random number variable is a product of the random function and the lowercase max. Let me just move that to the side. So this is like the higher number and the lower number. So this random function will select a number between the maximum, so lowercase max. Let's trace this. Lowercase max is here, the lowercase size. And the lowercase size is the size of the lowercase list. Okay, I've done this programmatically, so no matter how big I make the list, I don't really have to change anything. If I add characters, it'll automatically just adjust, so I don't have to manually type in like a maximum value or a minimum value. So the minimum value is just 0, okay? So this will loop through 5 times. In each loop, a random number is allocated, and then there's a string of added number, okay? The string added number is equal to the lowercase list, this list, and lowercase random number in between the maximum size and 0. So let's pretend the number 3 would come up as the lowercase random number in the first loop. So 0, 1, 2, 3. In that example, so let's pretend it was 3. D will become added number is equal to D. Then what happens in the password list? It's going to add D. See, string of D, in this example, D is going to be pushed back into the password list. Then the second loop, because assuming I pressed 5, lowercase random number will be in between 0 and the maximum size of this. So even if it'll keep looping with the times that I entered. So 5 and 5. So let's just bring up the console again. Oh, I think that's self-explanatory. So this 5, this is how many times it will loop around the code here. The second 5, see the number count and number count, lower count, number count, okay? Same procedure here. I'm still using a string added number, but for the second for loop, the number random number, that's an empty, that's where it's been declared. In the lowercase, sorry, the number random number is equals to a random number in between the number max, let's call it number max, number size, the size of the number list. Again, if I was to add more characters into the number list, I don't have to change any code. I just literally have to add values here, which I'm not going to do because it's pretty much already complete. Got 0, 1 all the way to 9. Okay, so let's bring up the console again. Okay, so once this is looped around 5 times and this is looped around 5 times, remember, after each loop is finished, a random selection from the lowercase list and the random selection from number list is added to the added number variable, and that added number, so remember, this added number is going to have a string of a letter from the lowercase list, and the added number in this for loop is going to have a number, but it will be in a string format. See how I've put string here? Just to keep it easy, so I don't have to do any converting of variables or anything like that. And again, whatever is the selected character, it's going to be added into the password list. So again, this is the empty password list. It's actually a vector, okay? Now, once the for loops are completed, there's a random shuffle that's going to be applied. It's basically the password list beginning to end. So that's the syntax, okay? And this is going to shuffle the list, okay? Once it's all done, then I'm doing a final for loop, because if I was to print out the password list vector, there is a space. It prints out a space. I don't want the space. So once I've got the password list that's shuffled, I run a final for loop, and this will go through how many characters there are in the vector. So I did 5 and 5, so there'll be 10. So this final password is just an empty, is declared here. It's an empty string at this time. Then what happens is this will just go through the password list. So whatever the size of the password list, assuming it's 10 in the example I'm using now, this is just going to add each character to the final password string. And the cout is like a print out. Okay. So let me just complete the program. And I'll run it one more time, just for reference sake. So let's do 10 lowercase and 10 numbers. Okay. There we go, perfectly working program. So that is a console-based random password generating program I've written in C++. Let me know if you have any questions, comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try to add several videos per week moving forward. And yeah, that's it for me. I'll be in touch. Have a good day. Cheers.